Carpentry by NJT is based in the western suburbs and has many years of experience to assist you in sourcing any and all of your carpentry needs. Carpentry by NJT are great supporters of local soccer clubs in Melbourne's western suburbs, including ambitious State League One outfit Sydenham Park Soccer Club. Home Builders Corp, meanwhile, is a Melbourne-based construction company by the same owners with more than 15 years' experience. Home Builders Corp specialises in new homes and unit developments. With attention to detail, they work to the highest standard to satisfy their customers with a very quick turnaround. For further details about how either Carpentry by NJT or Home Builders Corp can help you, contact owner-manager Nick on 0410 576 018 or via email at nick@homebuilderscorp.com.au. Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Corp are the proud major sponsors of the Football Out West show. Good evening, one and all, and thank you for joining us on yet another episode of the Football Out West show. It's episode 116, can you believe it? Season 5, episode 14, just this year, but 116 episodes in total. My name's Tonchi Prusak, and it's an absolute pleasure to be with you here tonight. What a massive show we've got lined up for you tonight. And right from the outset, a very, very welcome back, big warm welcome, but a welcome back to my co-host, Steve Curtin. Good evening, Steve. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Tonchi. After a week off, the lights have gone out here, and I think it's a bit like Lakeside Stadium. We can only put them back on just one bulb at a time, and we've got 4 towers to deal with. So we'll have to just bear with us. We might have to postpone the second half of the podcast, but we'll try and get it up and running. We'll try and get it back up. And there we go. All right. There we go. So, yeah, look, there's just a few issues with the power going around the NPL Victoria this weekend. So,
for those of you that haven't heard,
good to rectify that. And, yeah, as you say, Tonch, good to have a week off last week and good to be back on the show and equally as much, if not more. So, it's good to be back with you tonight and our wonderful audience that we have every week, each and every week. Big thank you to all of you. But yeah, looking forward to a bumper show tonight. As you mentioned, a whopping 5 guests. It's our most guests that we've attempted in one show for a long time.
Long time. That's true.
I think our PB is something like, was it like 7 in one of those episodes last year? We had someone from every particular division in Victorian football on one show at one time. So look, it's going to be a busy night, but we'll do our best to get through it.
It's got a real Australia Cup feel about it, folks. We're going to be talking to 5 participants, if you like, or combatants of the upcoming Australia Cup Round 7 series of matches this coming Tuesday. They're huge. And basically, to kick it off, Chris Oldfield, the Melbourne Knights goalkeeper, he'll be joining us in about 20 minutes' time. Melbourne Knights taking on Yarraville FC from State League One. And then what a run they've had right through to round 7. Paul AGATHOULI, the Yarraville coach, who has been on this program earlier this year, he'll be coming in as well. We'll be able to talk a little bit about State League One football with him as well. We've got STEFAN VALENTINI from Oakleigh Cannons. It's a real David and Goliath battle, that one. Oakleigh Cannons taking on the NPL 3 outfit Geelong Soccer Club. And Anthony TRAJKOVSKI, without the V. He'll be joining us as the Lions captain a little bit later on in the show. And then Clifton Hill from State League 2, the lowest placed or lowest ranked club. They'll be taking on NPL 2 outfit Northcote City at John Cain Reserve. And we'll be speaking to Clifton Hill's Luke BYLES. He'll be coming on a little bit later on, roughly around about 9 o'clock. So we've got a huge, huge show planned for you folks. It's all about the Australia Cup today. But, of course, we'll be looking at all the action that's happened in the NPL 1, NPL 2 and NPL 3. And indeed the NPLW. But Steve, big shout out. We must give a big shout out to our super sub last week, Mark Ivkovic, who took your spot last week while you were out having celebration. By the way, happy birthday to you, mate.
Thanks, mate. What a debut by Mark last week. I feel like I'm pretty lucky to get my seat back tonight, but I will have some absences later in the season for a certain overseas trip, so it might not be the last you see of Mark on the show.
No, that's right. And a big shout out to Craig Filer as well, who's done a brilliant job behind the scenes with the guests. It's his wife's birthday tomorrow, so Heidi, if you are listening, a very, very big happy 21st birthday to you for tomorrow.
Happy 21st.
What a day to celebrate.
That's what I turned last week as well, mate, 21. Mate. And I hear, as we were hearing, that Craig Filer's organised a helicopter to take Heidi around to celebrate her birthday, but he just hasn't actually got the helicopter yet, but he's organised everything else.
Yeah. Oh, good old Craig. We've got a lot to get through, folks. So we're going to straight away take a very, very quick commercial break. When we return, it's time for the news desk. And lots of football happening overnight and over the whole course of the weekend. Don't go away. It's the Football Out West show, and our major sponsors this year, NJT Carpentry and Home Builders Core. For all your building construction needs, give Nick TRAJKOVSKI a call. He'll help you out. And do mention the Football Out West show. Folks, don't go away. As I said, it's news desk time coming up after this short break.
Welcome to Anytime Fitness in Werribee,
the club with the most supportive, welcoming and friendliest members and staff.
Whether you're a first-timer, gym goer or just an everyday person, we are here for you.
A recently renovated facility offers you everything you need to get started with your health and fitness goals.
Our club offers brand new state-of-the-art cardio equipment, an amazing functional zone for group classes, a lifting zone, and really does cater for every single person. So don't miss out. Come see us in club to redeem this offer.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show. And Steve, over to you, mate. What's happening in the world of football?
Yeah, well, I think we were debating where to start, but we'll just play it safe and we'll just start with the news that Man City have won their first ever European Champions League title this morning in a 1-0 win over Inter Milan, and Rodri with the goal on 68 minutes. And it was, look, I got up early for this one. It was a bit of a dour affair in the first half. Not a lot of open play, not really the end-to-end free-flowing classic that, I mean, you'd be mad to expect that in the final anyway, but it looked like a good atmosphere in that stadium that it was played at in the big Olympic Stadium in Istanbul. And I found out that stadium was built with the hope that Turkey would host the 2008 Olympic Games. Of course, that went to Beijing instead. But it looked like a great atmosphere, and congrats to Man City for getting the title finally. And Pep Guardiola looked like a relieved man, actually. He only swung one. He didn't go crazy with another crazy change before this final like he has in previous occasions, but he threw Nathan Ake back into the starting lineup, which was a surprise. But they got the result they needed. It wasn't great football. I went back to sleep afterwards.
Well, it wasn't great football, but certainly some big achievements were achieved. I like that. Erling Haaland, well, what a season he has had in 2022-23. His Champions League Golden Boot, the Premier League Golden Boot, the Premier League Player of the Season, Premier League Young Player of the Year, FWA Footballer of the Year, FA Cup, 52 goals in all competitions. That's an average of a goal a week, isn't it? Amazing achievement. And I've seen some of the comments as well and some of the articles suggesting that Manchester City achieving the famous treble, that's has a large part of that is attributable to Haaland as well, and he's got songs named after him and all sorts of things. And then Pep Guardiola, Steve, is he, if he's not the best, is he one of the best managers in modern history? Historic treble. He's the first coach ever to win the European treble on multiple occasions. in 28 and 809. He did it with Barcelona. Now he's done it with Manchester City, and there's 2 photos of him with trophies. Love to hear your thoughts, but Steve, what about your thoughts? Will he go down in history as one of the most influential managers of this era?
Oh, without a doubt, he has to. Coming out of that grounding that he came from, the Barcelona school, and taking what he brought on the field as intelligent player, and then exercising that as a manager and getting it done in in Barcelona. Then what a good spell in Bayern Munich as well. It needs to be said in between, and then Man City. It hasn't come. He's had all the money to spend, I suppose. And Man City's fair play regulations, there's still a lot up in the air with some of their rulings on what they've done in the past, as there has been, on and off for the last 4 or 5 seasons. But yeah, like just the way he's managed to adapt his game, do crazy things, put John Stones into this new role in defensive midfield when you wouldn't think a defender would be going in there, and really surprising us, using Grealish like a wing back basically. And look, it's interesting. And I think, he is the bee's knees, and really it's exciting because he's gone out of his way to say that how excited he is that Ange Postecoglou will be one of his rival coaches next season in the EPL, and that's fantastic in itself.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Now, before we go any further, just quickly about the Women's World Cup coming up later, well, in a month's time or thereabouts, whatever. Major milestone achieved just in the last couple of days. Over 1 million tickets sold. Now, this is pretty amazing. And if Michael Long's listening to this, I'm sure he's going to put a comment. This despite a very, very lackluster, dare I say, a poor effort by the Australian mainstream media. It's been really crap. I mean, we've got this Women's World Cup coming up, and where is the publicity from the so-called mainstream media? I mean, hang your heads in shame. But despite all of that, this has been an incredible achievement. 1 million tickets sold for the next month's World Cup, and that surpasses France 2019. And I think this is, I'm not sure if this article here, which is from FIFA.com, but it basically means that this is going to be, here we go, on track to become the most attended Women's World Cup in history. Steve, that's amazing. That is amazing with a month to go.
Yeah, and not only that as well, but the most attended sporting contest, women-only sporting contest ever in world history. So it's massive, and as you say, it's been strange, the underwhelming sort of support from the mainstream media, but also a little bit surprised there's not more billboards, signage, flags around that you would see. It's a big event coming up. Maybe more merchandise and little stuffed toys of the mascot in every shop and that sort of thing. I'd expect to see a bit more of that sort of thing, but maybe that is still coming in the next month or so.
Well, you'd like to think that, but incredible achievement there despite everything. And it just goes to show the amazing underlying growth or support for the sport. And I think this is where some of these rival codes are really, really, getting very, very scared, very worried about the big giant that is the world game, football. Anyway, moving along to other news, Steve.
Yeah, we'll just touch on, we got the Socceroos playing Argentina this week on Thursday night in Beijing, and it's going to be an interesting match to see how we go against the world champs again. We've got a youthful-looking squad. We've got first-time call-ups for Thomas Glover from Melbourne City, and the 19-year-old Parma defender from the Italian Serie B, Alessandro Ciccati, gets his opportunity. And he's actually signed a new deal with Parma until 2027. He's apparently a very impressive central defender, so I'm glad that he looks like he's pledging his allegiances to the green and gold rather than the Italian, which is, maybe we'll see Volpato decide to come and play if Ciccati comes in and does well. But it's exciting, and Argentina seems to have named a very full-strength team. I wonder if that's for marketing reasons because of the tour being in China, and they're playing another match as well as part of the tour against Indonesia. But yeah, look, if Leo Messi and others are playing, I'll be surprised. But I'm looking forward to watching this one. It's on Channel 10 at 10 o'clock on Thursday. So looking forward to that. We've seen the Oilers as well, been in action at the Maurice Ravello tournament, and despite subscribing to about 20 different streaming services, I'm not able to watch this one. I haven't subscribed to the right one, but
just watch out. Played... It's not one of those dodgy ones, where you end up.
Well, maybe that's how I've got to get it. Yeah, we'll
just
put the link in the comments to how to watch it there. But the other night against Qatar, 0-0, peppered the goal, didn't score. The games go straight to a shootout, which we lost 4-3. And then the second game, we got a 3-2 win against the Mediterranean 11. And both of the quals lined up in the starting 11 for that one. That was good to see as well. And we played Mexico in the next game for the Olyroos. That's tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. If you've got the right TV streaming services, you can watch that. And will we touch on the results from last weekend or last midweek's Australia Cup?
Yeah, let's do that, and let's bring the fixtures up. We will be speaking to some of the combatants, some of the participants, and the first one will be Melbourne Knights goalkeeper Chris Oldfield. He's already in the green room, ready and waiting, ready and eager to come on, and they play this Tuesday. But before that, we had 2 games played last Tuesday, or this Tuesday, just gone by.
Yeah, gripping TV from Shepparton, Goulburn Valley Suns 2-0 over Hume City, England, and Addo Peters getting up and scoring a header at the back post from a corner kick, virtually unmarked, just powering it home, and then writing was on the wall then that the upset was on, and it's just so exciting. Can I just say it's so exciting that country football, NPL 3 level, gets represented in the national competition as well, and what a good venue that John McEwen Reserve is as well. It's a venue that we could see, replicated something similar to that in places like Geelong that don't have a dedicated facility. Very exciting. And then the other game as well on Tuesday, Heidelberg United being forced to extra time by St Albans. Mo Zwed scoring late to send that one into extra time. And then it looked like it might have been headed for penalties, but Heidelberg United just got the job done, and it was their second win over St Albans in the space of 4 days because they played them in the league and the cup consecutively. Heidelberg go through. St Albans were very close, but not quite. So those fixtures are, and we'll be there, Tonchi, at Knight Stadium on Tuesday. Looking forward to seeing you in a couple of evenings' time in real life, in person. The other one's Northcote City at John Cain hosting Clifton Hill, and Oakleigh Cannons hosting Geelong, who'll make the long trip up to Jack Edwards Reserve. That one a little later at 8 o'clock to allow for travel.
Yeah, big David and Goliath battle there. And could Geelong be the second Victorian country representative team that makes it through to the final 32, the national stage? Well, we'll find out Tuesday around about 10 p.m. But in the meantime, we'll definitely be covering all of those games later tonight. We're going to take a very, very quick break. When we return, we're just going to whiz through the NPL, NPL2 and NPL3 results and the ladder positions. And then it will be time to talk to our very first guest, Melbourne Knights goalkeeper Chris Oldfield. He's got a big game coming up this Tuesday at Knight Stadium. And yes, Steve, you correctly said, both of us will have the honour of calling that game, so looking forward to that. But in the meantime, folks, don't go away. Straight after this very, very quick NPL roundup. Carpentry by NJT is based in the western suburbs and has many years of experience to assist you in sourcing any and all of your carpentry needs. Carpentry by NJT are great supporters of local soccer clubs in Melbourne's western suburbs, including ambitious State League 1 outfit Sydenham Park Soccer Club. Home Builders Corp, meanwhile, is a Melbourne-based construction company by the same owners with more than 15 years' experience. Home Builders Corp specialises in new homes and unit developments. With attention to detail, they work to the highest standard to satisfy their customers with a very quick turnaround. For further details about how either Carpentry by NJT or Home Builders Corp can help you, contact owner-manager Nick on 0410 576 018 or via email at nick@homebuilderscorp.com.au. Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Corp are the proud major sponsors of the Football Out West show. Welcome back indeed to the Football Out West show. It's episode 116. We've been going 5 years straight, and we would not be able to do it without the help of major sponsors such as NJT Carpentry and Home Builders Corp. So a massive, massive thanks, shout out to Nick TRAJKOVSKI from those two organisations, those two businesses, and they are our major sponsors this year. Steve, let's get through
All right.
straight into the NPL Victoria competition.
Yeah, so a bit of excitement this afternoon as my pretty terrible sketch at the start of the show. The lights went out at South Melbourne, or they never came on at halftime when they were needed, and that match it was abandoned at Lakeside. South Melbourne 2, Dandenong Thunder 1 at half time. So Suleimani and Shrone scoring, Casper Hallam scoring for the Thunder. I was at Churchill Reserve seeing St Albans get a crucial 3 points against Hume City in a match of the two teams that got knocked out of the Cup during the week. And it was a late show with St Albans scoring 3 goals all after the hour mark. Knights getting their winning ways, continuing 1-0 away at Bentley Greens at Kingston Heath. Saturday night, we saw Altona Magic get a 3-1 win over Moreland City. More goals for Jonas Markowski. He goes on to 12 goals, 3 goals clear of Waring, Zinni and Guy. Avondale, workmanlike performance here, 3-0 over North Geelong. A big win for Oakleigh Cannons, 5-1 over Heidelberg United, and a hat-trick for one of our guests that we'll have a little later on in that game. And a return to form for Green Gully, 3-1 over Port Melbourne. Kadakpo with a couple of goals, and good to see Gully getting Jego back into their team, even if it was just as a sub this time. And also Port are still without Chris Duggan, who's been out injured. So, yep, those teams battling it out for those places in the top 6. And as it stands on the ladder, I believe Gully will be in the 6 at the moment. And we'll look at NPL 2 just quickly as well. The winners were Dandenong City, 1-0 over Werribee. Eastern Lions, 3-2 over Lang Warren. Brunswick Juventus 1-0 over Bulleen Lions. Kingston City 3-1 over Northcote. 2-2 on Friday night in the big clash between Preston and Western United's NPL side. Big win for Manningham United Blues. 4-0 over Pascoe Vale, and Brunswick City 2-1 over the Melbourne City NPL side. We'll look at the NPL 3 as well. Tonchi, did you want to have a delve into that?
Yeah, in NPL 3 action, North Sunshine Eagles again have suffered another loss. This is quite extraordinary. I think they've lost 2 or 3 now on the trot. Box Hill United defeated the Eagles 2-0. Essendon Royals and Nunawading City fought out a 2-2 draw. So Nunawading City dropping some crucial points. Beau Morris and Goulburn Valley Suns, they drew 2-2. George Cross now have recorded, I think it's 5 or 6 wins on the trot. 3-2 win away to Burundara Carey Eagles. And Mark Sultana, the president of George Cross, says, come on, Georgie, 6 in a row, huge effort. So there you go, 6 wins in a row for George Cross. Geelong and Ballarat City, well, we'll talk to Anthony TRAJKOVSKI a little bit later. He's the Geelong captain. They squandered a gilt-edged opportunity to really escape that dreaded relegation zone. Well, they took on Ballarat City at Stead Park last night, and after taking a 1-0 lead early in the game, Masoodi, I think it was a goal in the 29th minute. They conceded a goal in the second half, and as I said, squandered a gilt-edged opportunity to move up the ladder and away from the relegation zone. It was a 1-1 draw there between Geelong and Ballarat City. The game today between Melbourne Victory and Doveton, well, Victory now have opened up a 6-point gap at the top of the competition standings after a 5-0 drubbing of Doveton. So it really is a case of a battle for that second spot. And if we look at that, Nunawading City on 25 points. Caroline Springs also on 25 points. Same goal difference, but slightly inferior goals scored. So they are effectively equal second spot, but in third position because of that, I guess, that little technicality. Goulburn Valley Suns, they could have jumped to second spot if they had recorded a win, but they didn't. And as a result, because of that draw, they're in fourth spot on 24 points. And North Sunshine Eagles, they've had a really bad trot recently, but they're still within 1 win of that elusive second spot that leads to promotion to NPL 2 football. Well, that now brings us to our our main part of this show today, where we're going to now look at the Australia Cup. And if we look at those fixtures again, Northcote City taking on Clifton Hill at John Cain Memorial Reserve. Oakleigh Cannons taking on Geelong at 8 p.m. at Jack Edwards Reserve. But the big one, as far as yourself and myself, Steve, are concerned, is the one at Knight Stadium at 7:30 p.m. Somewhat of a David and Goliath battle, indeed. Yeah. Melbourne Knights taking on Yarraville FC, and it's our pleasure to bring on Chris Oldfield, the legendary Melbourne Knights goalkeeper, on the show. Chris, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good, Ken. How are you?
Very good, very good. Now, on paper, we come Melbourne Knights taking on State League One outfit Yarraville Glory or Yarraville FC, but we know cup games, the form book goes out the window. How are the boys approaching this game on Tuesday?
Yeah, we're taking it very serious. As you know, cup games, it's a one-off, and whoever turns up on the night generally wins the game. And there's no second chance in cup games. I've played in many of them in the past, and it can turn sour very quickly if you concede an early goal. So the lads will be switched on from the start, and hopefully we can bring it home.
And just rewinding back to your match yesterday against the Bentley Greens, you got the 1-0 win. You had a bit of an unfamiliar-looking defence there in front of you. Phelps and Joey Franich both starting on the bench. How did you see the game yesterday, and how did the squad turn out for that one?
Well, yeah, we've obviously got a few injuries who are all back now and fit, which is good news. But listen, the coach set the team up in a way where we practiced all week, and we were pretty confident going into the game, regardless of what formation or what players are playing in what position. We had a game plan, and we obviously won, so we met what we wanted to do. And as I said, it was a massive 3 points for us, bouncing back from the defeat against South Melbourne.
Yeah, if we look now at the road to the round 7 for the Knights, it started off with a thumping of Corio, State League One side Corio 6-1 at home in round 4. In round 5, another big win against Box Hill 5-0, and then the most recent game against Bentley, which was away, a 2-0 win at Kingston Heath. You've had a mixture of teams there from State League 1, NPL 3, and then NPL. It's been slowly getting tougher and tougher, I guess, the competition. But you've done exceptionally well. Now, the Knights have been on the national stage in previous campaigns, and they know what national exposure means to the club. How hard has it been to focus on the cup, Chris, knowing that at the same time you've got the league and you're doing very well in the league? Is it easy to switch between the two and keep your focus on?
The coach has implemented his game plan and the way he wants to play, and we just take every game as it comes. Doesn't matter whether it's a cup game or whether it's the league game, who we're playing, whether it's a lower league team or not. We just play the same way. We live by the sword, we die by the sword. That's what we do, and we play a certain way. And doesn't matter who we come against, whether they sit deep against us or they want to press us. We still play the way we want to do. And at the end of the day, if the results are going our way, we've won a lot more than what we've lost. So we stick at it. Doesn't matter who we're playing. We just keep going.
And how have you seen the season so far? The club has seemed to be having their best season in a very long time. What's it like playing under Ben Kahn since his arrival? And is he similar to any coach you've had before, or is he completely different?
Ben reminds me of like my old coaches in England. He just loves football. He has his way of playing. He's very strict on how he plays, and he's very smart too. He's intelligent in what he does. He watches every team we come against, and he's for being such a young coach, he's got a lot of football smarts about him. So the players have all bought into his philosophy, and we work every single session trying to master what he wants us to do, and that's all we can do as players. He gives us the way he wants to play. We do it. If we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. It's on the coach. So we trust him. The club trusts him, and the club's took massive strides forward. And as long as I've been in this country, I can't remember Melbourne Knights playing such exciting football.
Yeah, definitely. And Steve, we've both said we're excited about commentating this week's game, this Tuesday night's game, and we've both had the pleasure and the privilege of calling some Melbourne Knights games from Knights Stadium, and I'll agree with that. It's been very entertaining football being played this year. And I guess Ben's got a lot to do with it. Speaking of Ben, he's obviously got a lot of experience, having played at the in the Football Australia or the Australia Cup at a national level before. Has the club sort of said to you, really, like, you got to focus on getting through to the National 32 in view of the possible national second division coming up next year and the added profile it's going to give the club?
the club really hasn't put any pressure on us to set that as like a statement for the club. We just they trust us to just take every game as it comes, and we've had a good run so far. Obviously, Bentley was a tougher game in the first two, and it's going to be a tough game on Tuesday. They're not gonna roll over and let us just beat them. They're going to make it hard for us, because at the end of the day, whoever wins that goes into a round of 32. But the club itself hasn't really put an emphasis on either competition. It's just a matter of as long as we go out and give everything every game that comes in front of us, the club are happy. And it doesn't matter whether it's the FFA Cup or the NPL. It's just a matter of turning up, doing your best, and hopefully the results come.
And playing as the goalkeeper, Chris, you've got your number 2 there is Jacob Wiseman. How do you guys go working together, pushing each other? And the cup game, sometimes there a chance for the second keeper to have an opportunity. Is there any chance he might put the gloves on tomorrow night, or are we likely to see, Tuesday night, or is it likely to be yourself?
I'm not too sure. We got training in the morning, so we'll probably get a better idea then on what the coach wants to do. But going off previous games, I'm going to say I'm playing.
Yeah,
but Wisey's a good guy. Wisey pushes me as much as I'm not getting any younger. I'm 32 now, and Wisey's 21, 22. So he pushes me every session, and he builds my confidence up too. He's a really good lad.
Oh, that's how old Steve Curtin is after his birthday last week. 21, isn't that right, Steve?
Yeah, that's right, Tonchi. Yeah, that's correct.
Mate, Chris, thank you on that. Wishing you all the very best for the rest of the season, and indeed for Tuesday night. It should be an absolute cracker. We'll be there to call the game. We look forward to it, and we'll be finding out a little bit more about your opponents, Yarraville FC, very, very shortly. But in the meantime, thank you for joining us, Chris.
No, thank you, gents. Thank you. I'll see you on Tuesday.
Will do.
Thanks, Chris. Much appreciated. See you then.
Yeah, well, hopefully he won't be watching us. He'll be watching what's happening on the game, but we'll certainly be watching him and what is going on the field. Steve, it's now time for the opposing side, or the Melbourne Knights opponents, to come onto the show, and it's a welcome back to the coach of Yarraville, who we've had on the show before, and it's an absolute pleasure to have Paul AGATHOULI on the show. Paul, good evening, and a very, very welcome back, by the way. How are you?
Very well, gents. How are you going?
Yeah, not too bad.
Good.
Steve.
All right, well, let's kick off. Let's go back to your last cup game. We had a late night at Mackay Reserve. Have you thought out from that night? We were there until spot kicks. I think I got home at 11:25 from being at that game, but it was an entertaining finish after the initial 90 minutes was a slow burn. That must have put a smile on your face after that one.
Definitely, of course. Yeah, going a full hog, 120 minutes, and then going to spot kicks, like you say. There could be any winner there at the time, and credit to our keeper, Josh Lowe, who had 2 saves in the penalties, and rest is history. The boys went through.
Yeah. Oh, we've lost the audio there. Hopefully we've got you back there, Paul. Paul, we got you there?
Hello?
Yep, we got him. Yep, that's good.
Yeah, carry on.
Yeah. Now, Paul, on the weekend, in State League 1 football, you had your I guess your warm up before the Australia Cup clash. You came up against Sydenham Park, who's been one of the tough teams this year, and certainly one of the promotion chasers, that's for sure. A 0-0 draw there against them. Sydenham Park is second on the competition standings. Yarraville are in 8th position after that. How's the season been in State League 1 since we last caught up with you? If we look at the results there, 3 wins, 5 draws and 3 losses. So it's been a bit of a topsy-turvy season. How are things going from your point of view?
Yeah, the last fortnight's been a bit tough. I think on the bounce of the FA Cup, it may have taken its strain a bit on the boys. Obviously, being training twice a week, not being in that professional environment. We've been a bit disappointed the last 2 weeks, but credit to the boys yesterday against Sydenham, who obviously one of the leading teams at the division at the moment, and so going away playing them and then receiving a red card nice and early, 5 minutes into the game. So you're pretty much playing 85 minutes of the game with 10 men. But the boys battled well, put in a very good shift, played for one another, and we walked away from Sydney with a point.
Now, Paul, in that last match against North Sunshine, you did rotate the squad a little bit there. That your top scorer, Firdaus Munkaila, he didn't play in that particular one. Are you going to bring in some extra reinforcements in this game, given that you're playing the Knights and go with a very strong team?
Look again, we're short turnaround, 3-day turnaround, and then we've got a game again on Friday night. So it's 3 games in 6 days.
Wow.
But, yeah, 3 games in 6 days, but definitely we will be bringing some boys who we rested that day against North Sunshine. So we'll have a stronger squad. All the boys that played that night as well with senior squad members. But yeah, Firdaus will probably come in. Being still a young lad, he's only 20 years old. So he's led the line for us this year. So we wanted to give him a rest on the weekend as well. He came off the bench, so he will come into the squad this week, definitely on Tuesday night.
Paul, I'm interested to get your thoughts. I mean, you mentioned how, like, for amateur players or part-time players, if you like, it's such a tough schedule. But look, ask the players, they love it. Midweek football, they love them fronting up for Friday night or Saturday
they all
games
want to play.
as well. Yeah, but what can be done? What can be done to kind of, apart from obviously professionalise the sport, which, all right, we haven't got the money to do that. But is it a different approach to maybe training, maybe a little bit more recuperative? Monday and Tuesday having more recuperative sessions. What could be done to get some of these semi-professional teams being able to compete a little bit better with some of the teams that almost fully professional?
Look, it's tough for a lot of clubs out in the state leagues where we have a lot smaller squads. Obviously, the resources, the funds aren't there to be able to have a squad of 30 and keep them all happy. So it's tough. So when you get a smaller squad of 18, 20 players, and shoestring budgets and clubs that can't raise a huge amount of funds to be able to sustain and have that big squad, it's tough. But so, you got to mix it. If you want to be in around the 32 or where we are at the moment, or struggle to be around 32, you gotta just take it. It's another game, as you said. The boys, if you ask the boys who wants to play tomorrow night on Tuesday night, they all want to play.
Yeah,
it's all about the well-being of the players, and obviously with sports science these days, and how many minutes players play in games, and looking after their health. We will, again, manage players that need to be managed. But that's the way it is for these for us, suburban teams, lower league teams. That it's just being in the final 10 in the state is huge for the club. Huge for many clubs as well. Obviously, us and Clifton Hill being the lowest ranked teams, I'm sure it'll be big for them as well on Tuesday night. But we have to give it our all with what we've got, and I'm sure the rest will be history if we are successful.
Yeah.
And what can you say to your players in a situation like this where you're playing a top tier team who's been in good form this season? Do you look at situations like the results at Shepparton last Tuesday night and use that as some inspiration, perhaps, or what do you do to give the boys the belief to go out there and say that treat them like any other team and take them on face value and try and get the result?
Just like you said, belief. Anything can happen on you, like Chris just said before. Anything can happen on any given day. An early red card to them, a silly back pass, own goal, a set piece, goal, and nice and early. Things change then. And just like last week, like I said, GV Suns, probably they weren't expected to win. A bit like us on Tuesday night, but magic of the cup. They got their goal nice and early in the first half, and then brought on confidence and finished them off for the second half. So, you look at just, that Ted Lasso show. Anything can happen. A bit of belief.
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
That's right. Stick that up on the wall in the change room.
Yeah. Well, it really is a David and Goliath battle. Yarraville coming up against the Melbourne Knights. But look, should anything incredibly happen, and you end up pushing the Knights right to the end, and you defeat it. Will getting to the national stage, has the club sort of thought about will you play there at Yarraville's ground there, or will you move it to a bigger venue? I know you've got a sister arrangement with South Melbourne. Would the game be moved to Lakeside Stadium? Has there been any talk about that, or just one thing at a time?
No discussions along those lines. But look, from my point of view, if we were to get through, definitely we want it at McIver Reserve. Obviously, Steve was there. The last game he saw the surface, lights.
Great atmosphere as well.
Surface, lights, like I said, we would love it at home. But personally, and the boys I know, they'd love to travel. So, if we get an away game, I'd love that.
That'd be great, interstate or something like that. Yeah, that's where. Yeah, absolutely. Let's take an opportunity to look
somewhere nice and warm like Queensland or something, Darwin or something.
Anywhere. Let's take a quick look at the Men's State League 1 competition standings as it stands at the moment after round 12. Altona City on top. They've still got a game in hand against Upfield, who interestingly is your opponent this Friday night. But looking at some of the results on the weekend, Western Suburbs defeated Albion Rovers 2-0. That was State 2. State 1. Whittlesea Rangers lost to Upfield 3-2. Altona City defeated Banyule City 2-0. Brimbank Stallions and Whittlesea United played a 1-1 draw. FC Strathmore defeated Corio on the road 3-2. And as we mentioned, Sydenham Park and Yarraville 0-0. And Westgate defeated Keilor Park 4-3. Wasn't very easy, but this Friday night you've got a big game coming up against Upfield. Away from home, a Friday night. So short turnaround. How are you approaching this week, obviously, with Tuesday night's game and then Friday night's game as well? How are you approaching this week, Paul?
Look, definitely, again, we'll have to reassess after Tuesday night's game for Upfield on Friday. Look, they're in very good form. I was there watching them on Friday night, so I just got the boys firing. Look, they've had some new inclusions to their team, so they're strengthened since their round one. When we played them since their first half of the season, we played them round 2, so they've strengthened since then. Look, they're well structured. They've been in some good form, but like I said, we'll assess that come Wednesday, Thursday, once we know how the boys are feeling. But look, it's another Friday night game for us. We love these night games, so we'll go down there with the result from yesterday's result, giving the boys some confidence. Going down to Sydenham, and I think we're the first club this year to not get scored against, so we get the clean sheet. So it's the first game that Sydenham hasn't scored the goal in this year, and early on they was banging in 4s and 5s, so it was good for us to, like I said, 85 minutes, 10 men, not concede against them. And walk away with a point was a huge effort on the boys.
Steve, any last questions?
All right. Well, that's all from me. I think we're over time. But thanks very much for your time tonight, Paul, and good luck in a couple of evenings' time when you go to Summer Street and take on the mites of the Melbourne Knights from the top flight of Victorian football. And congratulations on a great cup run this far. But certainly from a Yarraville point of view, may it continue.
Yeah, thanks, gents. And we'll definitely catch up on Tuesday night. And
look forward to it.
Good game.
Good on you. Thank you very much, Paul.
Looking forward to it. Thanks,
Paul.
Paul
AGATHOULI, the Yarraville FC coach. We're going to take a very, very short break. We're hoping that our guests are ready to jump on. We've got a whole heap of guests. The big game between Oakleigh Cannons and Geelong. That's going to be our next game that we're going to focus on. That's at 8 p.m. at Jack Edwards Reserve on Tuesday. That's the later game. We've got STEFAN Valentini and Anthony TRAJKOVSKI, Stefan from Oakleigh and Anthony from Geelong. They'll be joining us shortly after this short break. Folks, don't go away. A lot to get through tonight's special Australia Cup themed episode of the Football Out West Show.
Welcome to Anytime Fitness in Werribee.
The club with the most supportive, welcoming and friendliest members and staff.
Whether you're a first-timer, gym goer or just an everyday person, we are here for you.
A recently renovated facility offers you everything you need to get started with your health and fitness goals.
Our club offers brand new state-of-the-art cardio equipment, an amazing functional zone for group classes, a lifting zone, and really does cater for every single person. So don't miss out. Come see us in club to redeem this offer.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show. We'll be speaking to STEFAN VALENTINI from the Oakleigh Cannons. He's just jumped into the green room and he'll be joining us very shortly. But before we do that, Steve, let's have a very, very quick look at the women's NPLW competition. We'll bring that ladder up there, the round 13 standings. We had Calder United defeat Alamein 5-0. Bayside United defeated Boroondara Carey Eagles. This is a big result. They defeated them 2-1. So as a result, the Eagles now have surrendered top spot on the competition standings. Box Hill United defeated Southern United 4-2. And then earlier today at Lakeside Stadium, luckily they played in broad daylight because they weren't affected by the floodlight fiasco, so to speak. South Melbourne defeated Football Victoria Emerging 2-1, and as a result have now jumped to top spot on the NPLW competition standings with 23 points. They're followed by Boroondara Carey Eagles on 22, Bulleen Lions on 20, Bayside United on 20, making up the top four. And Bulleen take on Heidelberg United tomorrow at the Veneto Club at 8:15 tomorrow night. A big win by Bulleen, we're talking, a win by 4 goals, will see them propelled to top spot on the competition standings, Steve. It's been a pretty interesting and a pretty exciting season for NPLW Victoria, Steve.
Yeah, look, it has, Tonchi. It started out pretty strong, but it's only got stronger since all of those A-League women's players have come back to bolster many of these squads, and many squads having multiple players to bring in. And it's certainly put the cat amongst the pigeons a little bit with some of these teams that were maybe not doing as well, are suddenly stepping it up. And it's almost a bit like the NPL2, the Chaos League now, the NPLW has become, because some of these results, as you mentioned, they're very hard to foresee what's going to happen if you were to turn up before the game and try and predict it.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the Australia Cup. We talked about one game that's a real David and Goliath battle, and that one is the Melbourne Knights taking on Yarraville at Knights Stadium on Tuesday. Another one that's going to take place at Jack Edwards Reserve across town a little bit later of a kickoff at 8 p.m. is the Oakleigh Cannons and Geelong game. That should be a beauty. And to talk about that, we've got from Oakleigh Cannons, STEFAN VALENTINI. STEFAN, welcome to the Football Out West show. Great to have you on the show.
Hey, mate. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolute pleasure. Now, mate, look, last year Oakleigh got through to the final 4 of the national stage. So going into Tuesday night's game, absolute firm favourites. But as we spoke to Chris Oldfield from the Melbourne Knights just moments earlier, all form goes out the window when it's a cup game. Anything can happen. How are you guys approaching this without getting too carried away and already having one eye on the national stage?
Yeah, it's one of those games where it's obviously we win on Tuesday, we go into the round of 32. So knowing our quality and knowing what we can do, we go into that game confident, and if we perform, then we're going to get the result. But it's a cup game, so you can't go into that game thinking it's going to be a easy game. At the end of the day, it's a cup game. Anything can happen. You've seen with Goulburn versus Hume what can happen. So no, look, we treat it like any other game, and it's a big game for us. We want to go far in the cup. The Oakleigh team made it to the semis last year, so we want to go far in the cup and go one better. So it's definitely a big game.
And Stefan, how have you seen your form of late? I think last time I saw you play, you were coming off the bench at Green Gully, but you certainly hit back of late. A hat-trick on Friday night against Heidelberg United. Do you think Chris might just put you straight into the starting 11 on Tuesday, given that you must be the form player there at the moment?
Yeah, like it's been obviously the start of the season started with me being injured, and I'm trying to get back from injury and get right. But then over the year, it's just been, we've been getting results here and there, and we'd like to be higher on the ladder. Obviously, we're third, but look, form comes and goes. I back myself as a player, and I back that I can do well. And it proved it last game, scoring 3. But I'm my hardest critic, and I know that my quality, I should be performing. Maybe not hat tricks every game, but I should be performing, scoring goals and helping the team win as much as I can. So. No, it's been good, and I'll take that form into Tuesday.
Yeah. Now, if we look at the run to the round 7, where we are now, a 3-1 win over Preston Lions in round 4, a 4-0 win over Dandenong Thunder in round 5, and then most recently a 2-0 win over Dandenong City, for a total of 9 goals, 1 goal against. The attackers are doing very, very well when it's coming to the cup football. Is the team finding it a little bit more kind of relaxed coming into the cup this year, especially with the focus being on the league as well, or are you putting a lot of expectations as well to emulate, if not better, last year's achievements of getting through to the semi-finals?
Yeah, I think that the cup is very important for us. Chris always goes in with a strong lineup, so we don't like, the league is obviously very important, but we treat them both the same. You've seen last year, obviously the Oakleigh did really well, and our goal is, at the end of the day, I'd love to get through to the round of 32 and get an A-League team again, like Oakleigh did last year, because to knock off a professional team, being an NPL team, semi-pro footballers, it's a great feeling. So we want to go far in the cup, and but we have to get past on Tuesday and then take it from there, really, and hopefully get someone from the A-League in the next round.
Mm.
And Steph, do you know much about your opponents, Geelong Soccer Club? I think maybe a couple of your old Avondale teammates might have been lured down to Stead Park by the new coach Ted Ladamunsky this year. Do you know much about them and what to expect?
I do. From what I know, is they're pretty aggressive and they get stuck in. So I think it's just going to be one of those games where it's going to be first 15 minutes. It's going to be a bit of a grudge match. We're going to be getting stuck in and some big tackles flying around. And then we'll just see who has the quality and who can withhold that pressure and, yeah, really just use their quality and put the goals in the back of the net. And we just have to be smart, like we obviously played on Friday. We've had a little bit of a break, and then we have Tuesday and then a game Friday. So we got to go into this game like it's a final at the end of the day and just get to where we want to. We want to proceed to the round of 32. So. No, I don't know too much about him, but I do know that it's not going to be easy. And from what I've been told, it's going to be a tough game for sure. Yeah,
well, we certainly look forward to that. And that game's also going to be live streamed on NPL.tv. And that's as you said, it's a big schedule, three games in 7 days. But certainly, no doubt, Chris Taylor has got you guys well trained, well groomed, and all primed and ready to go. So a huge week coming up for you guys. Wishing you all the very best, mate, and look forward to seeing how Oakleigh goes throughout the rest of the year. And there's a lot to play for, not just the Australia Cup, but also indeed the league itself. So, Stefan, thanks for joining us and wishing you all the very best for season 2023.
Thank you to both of you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steph. All the best, mate.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I know it's a silly question. I wasn't ever going to bother asking him. How do the players feel like, you're faced with 3 games in 7 days and midweek games and this and that? Ask the players and they're excited, if the players could play 52 weeks of the year, I'm sure that they would,
Yeah.
But,
That's right. And you think
physically.
You look at that Avondale squad as well. Last time I saw them in person, yeah, it was out at Green Gully, and they're it's a very deep squad, very good talent all through all lines of the park, and those players, they want to get out there, get a result, and put themselves in the spotlight against an A-League team, and see what they can do against the next level, because they will back themselves again as they did last year.
Yeah. So if we look at that NPL Victoria competition standings, Avondale just doing so well. South Melbourne obviously got that game in hand with the Dandenong Thunder. They were 2-1 up at the halftime break when the game was suspended due to the floodlights not working. So that game is to be caught up. Oakleigh Cannons doing very well, and so too are the Melbourne Knights this year. And then there's a real battle for the 5th and 6th spot at the moment. Altona Magic in red hot form. We mentioned this a couple of weeks. They've got a really good opportunity now to jump into that elusive 6th position. But
and playing Green Gully this Friday night, if I'm not mistaken, that should be a great
Some
match.
big games coming up this weekend in the NPL Victoria competition. Melbourne Knights taking on Port Melbourne Sharks on Friday nights at home. So another quick turnaround. Heidelberg United and South Melbourne, the big Greek derby at Olympic Village, also on Friday night. Oakleigh Cannons and St Albans at Jack Edwards Reserve on Friday night. And as you mentioned, Steve, Green Gully hosting Altona Magic. What a big game that is going to be. And then on Saturday, we've got Moreland City at home to Avondale FC, Dandenong Thunder at home to Bentley Greens, and then Hume City at home to North Geelong Warriors. And that is the NPL Victoria competition. But let's return to the big Australia Cup round of 7 clash at Jack Edwards Reserve. We've talked to Oakleigh Cannons, and now it's time to talk to the captain of the Geelong Soccer Club, a very frustrated captain, Anthony TRAJKOVSKI, because as we welcome Anthony to the show, Anthony's been injured for the last 5-6 weeks, and he's been itching to get on the field. And it's our pleasure to have Anthony on the show tonight. Anthony, first of all, welcome to the program. But secondly, must be very frustrating personally for you at the moment, wanting to get back on the field as quickly as possible.
Yeah, hey guys, thanks for having me. Look, of course, when you can't be a part of it, it's always difficult. So you have to watch on the sidelines. But yeah, look, hopefully I'll be back soon and be able to help out the boys.
And Anthony, the team seemed to start like a house on fire early in the season, and obviously going well in the cup as well. And then things haven't gone as well in recent weeks. Do you put that down to injury primarily for yourself and other players, or is there a combination of things there?
Well, look, I think we started off the season quite strong, as you said. We don't have the luxury to have a really deep squad, like probably an Oakleigh Cannons or something, like which we face on Tuesday. So that's obviously a difficulty for us. And with a few players out, it does hinder the chance of obviously being up there with the other teams. So we started off really strong. We've struggled the last few months, but I think we've got the players, we've got the mentality. So hopefully we can lift and really have a good strong finish to the season.
Now, on the weekend last night, in fact, there at Stead Park, it was a golden opportunity to really get the 3 points and move away from the drop zone, the relegation zone. But the boys didn't. They squandered that a 1-0 lead at halftime. After the game was Coach Ted Latomansky really harsh on the performance. Speaking to him earlier today, he seemed a little bit not just a little bit disappointed by the result. Is this the kick up the pants the boys needed maybe ahead of Tuesday's game?
Look, obviously it's not just this game. It's been the last few games that haven't probably gone our way. So, without even Ted saying anything, the boys know that, it hasn't been good enough. And we've showed that we can do it. So, that's the main factor. So, look, again, playing against a high-quality opposition against like Oakleigh, it'll be good for us to get out there and really just show what we can do, and with no pressure. So, we're excited for that game on Tuesday.
And your last cup win as well was a pretty good result, 3-1 away against Brimbank Stallions, that one at Caroline Springs. Do you still have the guys still have the confidence from that? That was a really particularly good result that stood out to me when I saw that one on the night.
I thought we really controlled that game, and obviously Brimbank, we know, a strong side in State 1. So, we were happy with that result. And, we'll take that forward and bring it to Oakleigh as well. So, yeah.
Now, Anthony, apart from the fact that,
Punch.
sorry, I was going to say, Anthony, apart from the fact that you have been out,
You're right.
sorry,
Yeah.
were you going to say something, Steve? My apologies.
No, I was throwing it to yourself for the question.
There's a bit of a delay, unfortunately. It really looks
Yeah,
like
I think there is.
It's apologies for that. There is this little bit of a delay. We're in 3 different locations, and just for people at home, just to understand, it's not us trying to be rude, talking over the top of each other, but we're just that little bit of a delay sort of sometimes throws.
We're
us
always
off.
nice to each other.
We are indeed. Anthony, speaking of being nice,
Yeah.
you've been you're one of you are the leading goal scorer this year. So apart from the fact that the side hasn't had their inspirational captain in action in recent weeks, they've also missed the goal scoring prowess of yourself. You've scored 5 goals this year, but in the cup, that's something that you guys have been doing very well, scoring 5-0 against Brunswick Juventus. Big win. That was in round 4 at home. 2-1 against Hampton East, and then as Steve mentioned, 3-1 against Brimbank Stallions. In the cup, have you felt a lot more freer to express yourselves as a collective, that is, and hence that has shown in the way you've scored the goals on a regular basis in those 3 games?
Yeah, I think so. Look, as everyone says, cup games obviously a one-off. So, and we also have a bit of a change in personnel as well. So it gives other players opportunities to sort of come in and sort of show that what they have. So, yeah, we've been able to put away the goals in the cup games, which is evident, obviously, from the results.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're right. It could be a factor of that, just a bit more freedom, obviously less pressure, and probably a little bit of uncertainty as to who we're playing as well. That brings that on board too.
And Anthony, what's it been like playing under Ted Ladomansky, an experienced figure that it's been brought to Stead Park this season? And on a serious note as well, do the players make any jokes about another Ted who's a coach, Ted Lasso?
Yeah, look, there's a few jokes about the name Ted, but look, Ted's great. Ted's been great, and he's helped me as well. Obviously, this is my first year as captain at the club. I've been here for a few years, but he's been fantastic. And look, we've shown that we can perform. We've just had a bit of a dip, and the morale in the dressing room is really good, and it hasn't dropped off at all. With the poor performances, so that's a positive sign. We do have a younger group, I would say, but in saying that, we've shown that we've got the quality, and hopefully we can put that forward in the last few games that we've got to go.
Now, Anthony, should Geelong get through to the national stage, or the first time that a team from the city has ever made it to that far, must be a huge achievement. But even just getting to the round 7 is a big achievement. It's off the field. It's the 65th anniversary for Geelong, of a wonderful Macedonian community-backed club that's been around since 1958, I think it is. Must be an absolute privilege and honour for you to be captain this year. But off the field, there's a lot happening at the club, a lot of celebrations, a lot of gala events as well. Must be a pretty happening place at the moment, Stead Park, these days.
Yeah, definitely. It's a big year for the club, 65 years. So we want to try and make it as memorable as possible. And like you said, it'd be no better way than obviously getting up against Oakleigh and going through the national round.
Yep. Go, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think we could, if you got through against Oakleigh, could we see the big TV network, Paramount Plus, and everyone coming down to Stead Park and setting up a broadcast there? Would the ground, the floodlights would be able to handle it, wouldn't they? They'd have the appropriate amount of lux.
We'll be able to, let's get through Oakleigh first, and then we'll definitely be able to arrange that one.
One can dream.
Excellent.
One can certainly dream, and we certainly hope. Well, I'm a Geelong boy, so I'm certainly barracking for Geelong this week on Tuesday, and hoping they could come through. And then maybe Steve, myself, and yourself, we could get a gig with Paramount Plus and do a commentating gig down at Stead Park. We've done that on a couple of occasions.
You get that resume ready,
absolutely.
Exactly right.
It would be fantastic, Anthony. All the best for Tuesday. It's going to be a Herculean task, but as you said, it's cup football. Anything can happen, and we're certainly fingers crossed, toes crossed, everything crossed that Geelong could get over the line. With all due respect to our Oakleigh friends, but we're going to be a little bit parochial on this occasion.
No worries. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Good on you.
Thanks for coming on, Anthony. All the best.
Anthony TRAJKOVSKI. And Steve, myself and yourself, we were co-hosts last year of the Geelong Region Soccer Show. So, of course, we're going to show a little bit
full disclosure.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
we're going to show a little bit of leeway there.
What's that thing on the famous BBC World Football phone-in? You have to declare your allegiances before you go on there to ask a question.
Absolutely.
That's right. Yeah, something
Look,
like that.
And it's in football terms, football circles, you often find yourselves wearing multiple hats. But either way, it's just great to have midweek football. It's great to have all of these games. It's just nothing better. Absolutely nothing better. We're nearly coming to the end of our show. We still haven't looked at one of the games, the one that's going to be at John Cain Reserve. It's going to be a Greek derby between two sister clubs, Northcote City and Clifton Hill. The inner northern suburban derby, near neighbours and everything. So it should be an absolute corker of a game. We're going to take a very, very quick break. When we return, we'll be talking to Clifton Hill's Luke BYLES, who will be giving us a bit of an insight into this State League 2 side that has gone all the way, and they are just one step away from hitting the national stage. This is going to be an absolute phenomenal opportunity for both these sides. Don't go away, folks. It is the Football Out West Show, episode 116, and we'll be back very, very shortly after this break. Carpentry by NJT is based in the western suburbs and has many years of experience to assist you in sourcing any and all of your carpentry needs. Carpentry by NJT are great supporters of local soccer clubs in Melbourne's western suburbs, including ambitious State League 1 outfit Sydenham Park Soccer Club. Home Builders Corp, meanwhile, is a Melbourne-based construction company by the same owners with more than 15 years' experience. Home Builders Corp specialises in new homes and unit developments. With attention to detail, they work to the highest standard to satisfy their customers with a very quick turnaround. For further details about how either Carpentry by NJT or Home Builders Corp can help you, contact owner-manager Nick on 0410 576 018 or via email at nick@homebuilderscorp.com.au. Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Corp are the proud major sponsors of the Football Out West Show. Welcome back to the Football Out West Show, and we'll take one last look at those fixtures coming up this Tuesday. Melbourne Knights at home to Yarraville FC, 7:30 p.m. Knights Stadium. Tune into that on NPL.tv. Steve Curtin and myself will be calling that game. A little bit later at 8 p.m, Oakleigh Cannons will be taking on Geelong Soccer Club. All these games are being live streamed on NPL.tv and on the Australia Cup YouTube channel, I do believe. But the game we're going to be talking about now is the one that's going to be taking place at John Cain Memorial Park there in Northcote at 7:30 p.m. kickoff. If it's raining, if it's cold, if it's wet and windy, it doesn't matter. There's a magnificent grandstand there at John Cain Memorial Reserve to take cover from. But the action on the field is going to be hot, Steve, because near neighbours and sister clubs, Clifton Hill will take on Northcote City in what should be a ding-dong battle, with one of those two teams set to grace the national stage. And it could be no more bigger incentive than that. And as a result, we're now going to be talking to our next guest, our fifth and final guest for tonight, Steve.
Yeah, it's been a marathon effort getting through all of our guests tonight, but we wouldn't have it any other way with our Australia Cup special. And without any further ado, I believe he's in the green room. We're going to get Clifton Hill player Luke BYLES onto the screen. Good evening, Luke, and thanks for joining us. How are you doing this Sunday evening?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourselves? Yeah, really good, actually.
We're a bit tired. We've gone through almost 5 guests. You're our fifth one, but we love it. As much as the players talk about loving this tempo of 3 games per week, midweek action and all of that kind of stuff, we certainly love doing nothing more than talking about football. Can't get better than this. And, mate, for the part-time players of Clifton Hill, it may seem daunting physically and playing 3 games in the space of a week, but, geez, it must be exciting as well, midweek cup action under lights.
Yeah, I think so. And obviously, played in a couple of FFA Cup games, and obviously made the last 32 a couple of times. So there's a few of the boys in the team that obviously know how much it means to the club, and what a great sort of arena and opportunity it is. A lot of the boys in our team were actually from overseas and sort of fresh off the boat, so to speak, this season, and it's all new to them. So I'm not sure they quite know the magnitude of Tuesday's game, which is probably a good thing as well. Going into the game, as I suppose underdogs, but with everything to play for.
And Luke, how was your role in the team integrating all of those players? You're an experienced player. You've been here in Australia for a long time, something like 150 games for Heidelberg in the NPL under George Katsakis. You the player that knits everyone together and uses your experience at the back of the pitch there.
I try to keep everyone in order and make sure they got their flip-flops on in the showers, and they clean up the change room when we leave and things like that. But the boys have been really good, and there's quite a few British boys in our team, and they've all been coached quite well and played at a reasonable level. So it's been a really, really fun season for myself, and really enjoying, I suppose, the twilight years of my playing career. And we're having a fantastic season in the league, and the cup run has been a bonus for us, really.
Yeah, let's digress to the league, and we'll bring up the league ladder competition standings after the weekend's games. Albion Rovers lost to Western Suburbs 2-0. Altona East Phoenix defeated Epping City 2-0. Lately United had a massive 7-1 win over Altona North. Westvale Olympic 4-1 winners over Mill Park, and Hume United and Hoppers Crossing, Brenton Ray's team, they fought out a high-scoring 3-3 draw. But as a warm-up to, as a prelude to Tuesday's game, you had a big 5-0 win over Geelong Rangers on the weekend. You're sitting very, very pretty at the top there. 9 wins, 2 draws and 1 loss. And certainly, even though you're sitting pretty at the top, one bad result could see Altona East or even Western Suburbs jump there, overtake your position. So certainly you can't take the foot off the pedal. But by and large, it's been a very, very good season on the park for Clifton Hill.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there were some lessons to be learnt from last season. Obviously, being relegated was probably a really, low in Clifton Hill's history. And obviously the board, Michael and others, I don't need to name them all, they know who they are, have set out with one thing to do this season, and ultimately, and that's to get promoted and win the league. So at the moment, all the boxes have been ticked so far, but like you said, winning a league's not easy, no matter what level it's at. And even though we're sitting top, we've actually only conceded 2 goals, and I think we've had 10 clean sheets, and we're still only three points clear at the top. So we've really got to keep on top of it, and keep those wins coming, and hopefully by round 18, then we should be sitting comfortably to definitely get promoted and ultimately win the league. So really exciting, and like I said, really enjoying it. And I think, going back to your question earlier about the cup game midweek, I've always hated training, so playing on Tuesday is
more games the better.
Yeah, I'm happy to play on Tuesday, especially playing probably at Northcote pitch. You haven't seen our pitch at Clifton Hill at the moment. It's not the best. So it'll be nice to see some grass and see the ball roll properly when you pass it. So it's exciting.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks going to be a big night on Tuesday. I can already almost smell the meat on the stick on the rotisserie going round and round there at John Cain, and the big grandstand there will be packed out, I'd say. But what do you know about your opponent, Northcote City? They're sitting mid-table in NPL 2. Obviously, you guys are making all the right moves in your competition in the league. But what do you expect from them?
Look, I expect them to be fitter, quicker, knock the ball around a bit sharper. From what I can gather in that league at the moment, it's very, very tight from sort of the top position down to the relegation. I think there's only about 4 points in it. So it's a little bit like the Championship overseas. It's probably one of the hardest leagues to get out of and get into the top league, and it's so competitive. So they're obviously coming off a couple of negative results over the last couple of weeks. So no doubt they just want to have a little bit of a bounce back and get their season back on track. And, you know, obviously a cup game midweek against a lower opposition that gives them a good chance to do that. But, you know, we're the underdogs, and we've got just as much right to be there as they have, especially with our run. I think we've only probably played one team in a lower league than us, and that was Sale away to start our cup run, but the rest have been higher opposition. And, you know, we've definitely held our own, and if not, shown that we're a really good team this season.
Yeah, let's go through some of those results of the past cup fixtures. Sale United in round 3, 7-0 drubbing of Sale United. Then in round 4, equally impressive 4-0 win over Mornington. The most impressive after that was the round 5 win over Port Melbourne, 1-0 at JL Murphy Reserve. And then last round against a team that has tasted the national phase football, cup football, South Springvale, a 3-1 win. So total of 15 goals for 1 against. Very, very impressive in the shootout stakes. So that's something that no doubt you'll be probably looking on Tuesday for the attackers to be in fine form. But how are you going to approach this? Will there be a light training session, or you're not training until Tuesday? Are you going to take the day off from work or whatever you do on Tuesday? How are you personally going to be approaching this week's game, or this Tuesday's game?
Yeah, look, me personally, obviously we've got tomorrow off anyway, so I think that's probably helped us. But I think Tuesday will be back to normal and work, and then obviously get up for the game. But yeah, there's no session in between, and that's the way we've done it throughout the campaign. So we thought, you know, rather than change something, let's keep it with what's working. So yeah, the boys will obviously like to think they'll do a little bit over the weekend on Sunday, or not Sunday today, or tomorrow at least, and then be right to go on Tuesday.
And looking ahead to, you know, if you guys, if you get over the line against Northcote City, what are the boys hoping for? Are you hoping for a trip to the Sunshine State for some warm weather in the cold midst of Melbourne winter, or is all of your British players happy and calling this weather balmy at the moment? Play a home fixture in Melbourne somewhere.
To be honest, you know what it's like. If the worst case scenario is probably, if you, let's say, we were to get through, would be to draw another Victorian team.
That'll be a bummer.
Basically,
it's a bit lame. Yeah,
you want a nice away trip that we can have a bit of a team bond in, and, you know, possibly get another result in a different state. Other than that, an A-League team at home. I mean, imagine that, an A-League team playing Clifton Hill from State 2 on a Tuesday night, and that'd be pretty good, wouldn't it?
Amazing. Yeah,
fantastic.
Now, Luke, past Tuesday, past this year, what are your thoughts on your own personal side of things? Are you looking at pulling on the boots again next year for Clifton Hill? Should Clifton Hill get promoted, or is it time to give the game away? Or are you looking at maybe dropping down a couple of divisions? What's on the mind of Luke Byles going into 2024?
To be honest, I don't know. Let's see how I go this season. I might have one more in the legs, and you know, basically, if we win on Tuesday, we get backpacks from Michael at Clifton Hill. So let's see if he holds that end of the bargain up. So if we do well, we get promoted, and we do well in the cup, maybe he can persuade me for one more season. That's if he wants me, that is. But no, you know, for me personally, the body's feeling good, and it's been really, really enjoyable this season. We've got a great bunch of lads, some boys I've already played with previously at Heidelberg, and the boys that they brought in this season, that they've all been brilliant, and collectively as a squad, as a club, it's all working perfectly at the moment. So that the win on Tuesday would be absolutely magic. We'd love to get through to the last 32, but obviously we've got to respect the opponents in Northcote, who obviously want to do the same thing. So it should be a great game. So obviously, if you get a chance to come down and watch, I think it's going to be a cracker, to be honest, and I think it could go either way.
We might even have extra time. We might even have penalties. There we go, folks. 3 mouth-watering fixtures in round 7, or to complete round 7 of the Australia Cup Victoria phase. Melbourne Knights taking on Yarraville City, 7:30 p.m. at Knight Stadium. Oakleigh Cannons taking on Geelong Soccer Club at 8 p.m. at Jack Edwards Reserve. And the big one there at John Cain Memorial Park at 7:30 p.m. The inner northern suburbs derby between Northcote City and Clifton Hill should be a cliffhanger. Luke, thank you for joining us here on the Football Out West show. Wishing you all the very best, not just for this game on Tuesday, but for the rest of 2023, and certainly beyond, depending on what you want to do.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
Good idea.
Thanks, Luke. Good luck on Tuesday.
Yeah, should be a fantastic Tuesday night of football, folks. If you can get down to one of the suburban grounds, do so. It would be great to see some big crowds at all of those games. But if you can't get there for whatever reason, or if you are tuning in from interstate or indeed internationally, make sure to then tune into the live streams happening on npl.tv. Steve, that brings us to the end of the show. Wow, big show tonight, but we enjoyed it as much as the players and the coaches enjoy it. We loved it as well.
Yeah, that's right. I felt a little bit tired and weary before we kicked off tonight, Tonchi, but I feel like getting out there and maybe heading across the road for a kick in the park now. I just feel all fired up and excited.
You do that, my friend. You do that. On that note, folks, thank you very much for joining us on the Football Out West show. Tomorrow, we will be talking to, as part of the Game of Two Halves podcast, we'll be speaking to Dermot Tebb and Andrew Burgess from Futsal Ballarat, which runs the Futsal Geelong competitions. With the news last week that Football Victoria are launching the F League and the state leagues for juniors later this year once the winter season finishes. We'll be talking all things futsal down in Geelong as well. And we'll also be hopefully talking to someone else from the Geelong Soccer Club ahead of their big Australia Cup clash coming up this weekend. Plus, we had the Victorian Country Championships in very, very cold Ballarat over the weekend. We've got some footage, and we've also got a lot of the results from all of the Geelong teams that took part. That is in the Game of Two Halves podcast tomorrow. Plus, there's also a UEFA Champions League flavour in the global game segment. We will be having will be having Simon Hill, the famous Paramount Plus commentator, joining us as well, who is a massive, massive Manchester City fan. All that and a lot.
He must be excited today.
Oh, geez, I tell you what. Hopefully he hasn't got laryngitis, so he'll be able to get on the show tomorrow. But all that and a lot more on tomorrow night's Game of Two Halves podcast, which will be simulcast live here on the Football Out West Soccer Show Facebook page and YouTube channel. So, folks, if you didn't get enough of a football fix tonight, make sure to tune in tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Steve, good night.
Good evening, Tonch, and good evening, viewers and listeners.
Bye-bye.